Welcome to another episode of Tangled Rights. I'm one of your hosts, Justin W. Wilson, Esquire. This is
Shane D. Cox.
some dong.
Okay.
Sorry, Shane.
We run a law firm, Cox and Wilson Law.
Operate one. I don't know.
Operate,
if we
run.
it.
What's the difference between those?
I don't know. I feel like one connotes like actual, you're purposely doing things as opposed to they kind of just happen to you because you happen to trip into accidental situations.
My wife has told me we should not be as degrading as we are. I think it shows humility.
I think it's that I have
I
a
think
good
it
sense
shows
of humor
humility.
and I make fun of myself because you can't make fun of yourself.
Because
Who are you?
all of these attorneys go on and say
I'm the
how
coolest guy.
how successful they are and
Success. Look
they
at
drive
this.
their fancy
Look at
cars.
These muscles. This comes from working out.
and then
Fuck those guys.
sometimes we have clients
Sorry,
that
Mr.
are
Cox.
like, "Oh, you need to be more aggressive. That'll be what gets my case done is if you're more aggressive. I know how it works." And it's like, you don't, but okay. Well, trust experts in industries, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Sometimes they know. It's okay to question them, but they tell you that's not how it works. We are not intending to create a legal relationship by means of this podcast. Okay, we're just talking about some legal things. And Justin's got. I don't have my laptop. Justin's just running today. We'll see how that goes with Justin with all the information.
Well, I stumbled across a episode of Joe Rogan with this lady that was on there, Amanda Knox. Austin, you haven't heard of her? I had never heard of her, and it seems crazy to me because her story is nuts. She graduated in 2000 and she graduated, I believe, in 2005. She was born in 87.
Much like myself.
Much like you. She went to an exchange year in Perugia, Italy. What
part of Italy is this?
What part is Perugia? Let me look. Didn't bother to look that up. Don't really care that much about it.
No, that's fine. In Italy.
Not
Not a city I had heard of.
When you're looking there, it's in the middle.
All
Like
right.
if you're looking at the whole boot, it's dead in the center.
Okay. Isn't Vatican City around there too?
I think so. Perugia's been around for a long time. Population 124,000. So it's like
Not a small size city.
no, but it's not the major one. Her idea was to get away, and I watched a documentary on it now, and then I also listened to her story on Rogan.
Go to the country. Is that where the good food is too? Or
I think the main thing was she kind of wanted to get away from where all the other Westerners were going to be, and so, since it wasn't the number one, it was more like, oh, you're going to get immersed in an Italian culture, maybe a culture from other places. She ended up being a roommate with 3 other chicks, a British girl, women, females.
Is chicks derogatory?
I don't know.
Drop a comment in the chat if it is.
If chicks is derogatory, please let me know. I don't really care, but tell me.
So I can use it in a more aggressive manner.
Yeah. What do I got to yell? Chicks. Like Joe Dirt. I got a microphone right here. Got a backup mic. Looking for chickies. No, wait. He goes like this. He's punching them. He's got, I got a microphone right here. Anyway, my brain's weird. So she's over there, not for very long, and she gets a boyfriend. His name is Rafael Solicito.
That sounds like a very Italian name.
I mean, it's pretty Italian.
Yeah.
So there's a murder that happens in her apartment, and it's of her the English roommate Meredith Kircher. Well, the way that the murder
so they're both on doing some kind of exchange program,
and the 2 Italian chicks were I want to say they were like law students or something.
And they also live in the same apartment.
Also live in the same
there's
apartment.
4 women that live in this apartment.
Correct. And it was an Italian holiday, so the 2 Italian women are out. They're somewhere else. So Amanda was with her boyfriend the night before, and she goes back to her place, and the door was wide open. There's like a couple of things that were a little weird. Like she said when she goes to the bathroom, she noticed a couple drops of blood on the floor, but whatever. Cut yourself, putting a bandage on, whatever. Gets in the shower. When she gets out, she looks at the mat, and there's a big blood stain, like the size of a hand or a foot. So she freaks out and calls her boyfriend. He comes over. The roommate's door is locked. They can't get a hold of her. It's not normal for her not to get a hold of him. So they try to get in. They can't get in.
Okay.
And they call the cops.
Yeah.
Cops come, bust the door down. Turns out Meredith has been murdered. Blood everywhere. Like they showed, and the documentary on Netflix is like an hour and 15 minutes long. And it's interesting because the trajectory that it takes, it makes it, a certain way. And then they kind of
all of these stories kind of like you watch documentaries, but it's not just boring. they try to tell a story to get you intrigued.
Oh, and it worked.
And in a way,
yeah. And the Rogan episode was 3.5 hours long. It was nuts.
But that was with her, right? She was
on
there.
It, but recently, it was within like the last 15 episodes.
Okay,
so she's
what did you say what year this happened?
2007.
Okay, so she's coming from college, so she's after her sophomore year potentially.
Yeah, so she's what, 20, 21, something like that?
Around there, yeah.
Yeah.
19, 20.
So the Italian courts, I still don't completely understand them, but they work way different than ours do.
Do they wear wigs like English courts?
The video of the prosecutor, he was wearing a wig. But it wasn't the same because I think that the Commonwealth countries like England, Australia, they look very put together in their wigs. Like, for example, their robes, even the solicitors. And that's one difference. It's a solicitor and a barrister. A barrister is a trial lawyer and a solicitor is just a lawyer. Be essentially like a transactional attorney versus a litigation attorney.
Okay.
At least that's what it was in Australia. And I believe that's the same in England. When I lived in Australia, I lived across the street from the federal courthouse where they did like child support hearings and stuff. And so you'd see fools
do they have to go in the wigs and stuff too?
Yeah, the barristers do too. So we'd be wearing wigs in court.
Some antiquated systems we need to question.
No, but the best part was I'd be getting ready to go to work or whatever, or go to practice, and you'd see some dude either getting out of the courthouse, going to the subway, or getting off the subway, just walking down the street in his wig and his robe. It's like, what the fuck? I don't know. It's funny. But so the cops come.
Add? Like, I don't. Like, we wear suits, and that's like a construct.
Stupid.
Like, what?
Stupid.
Whatever is nice dress is like a construct, right? It can depend on what culture you're in, but
okay.
I don't know. I just don't get the wigs. I just do not understand it.
Okay, so this is saying that barristers wear wigs in court primarily as a symbol of tradition and to maintain formality and solemnity within the legal proceedings. It dates back centuries. It distinguishes barristers from solicitors and other court officials, and historically it was a fashion statement adopted to the upper and middle classes. So,
I don't
elitism.
It feels like elitism.
Austin was right.
And that's, courts are supposed to be accessible.
There
are rules.
Are they though? Let's be real.
They're tough to understand, right? I didn't tell you about this. I was at my next door neighbor's house yesterday, and she's going through some probate issues.
Why are you so cold, dude?
I don't know. Her husband just passed away, and she is trying to do this on her own. Okay, so she emails the court clerk, for help. And what happens when we
don't give advice?
They always answer the same way, and I told her this is exactly how it is. We don't give legal advice, and they just shut you down. It's supposed to be accessible, and the rules make sense if you read through them, but the court's not there to help you. You
Correct.
have to do it on your own. You got to figure it out on your own, and it's like all of the rules make sense, but there's a lot. Whenever you go into something new, it's a lot to figure out, and sometimes people need guidance through that.
Yes.
That's okay.
But that's why you have a self-help center.
Yes.
Although, what I will say, it is very frustrating when you go to the district court clerks, the window on the third floor.
Yeah.
We don't give legal advice. Like, well, that's where we're supposed to come for this. Like, you're supposed to help me out. I will say the justice court people are way better. I've heard them talking to pro se people. Yeah. Pro se meaning litigants who don't have an attorney that represent themselves, be it for an eviction or whatever. And they'll be like, oh, well, I can't give you legal advice, but this is probably the form you want to fill out.
But it's hard because I'm not in your shoes. I'm not an attorney. I don't represent you. This is your responsibility to figure out. So,
and it's all because of some D-bag lawyer sued him one time for giving the wrong legal advice, blah, blah, blah. But they should help. It should be accessible.
All right. Weird courts, weird Italian courts, Amanda Knox.
Well, and their court structure is different too. And you hear about that throughout the process. They talk about, what is it? Italian Supreme Court of Cassation is the one where she was acquitted ultimately.
Is that some kind of appeals or something?
It's like this. I think that's their highest court. I'm pretty sure that was their highest court.
Okay.
But this was in 2015.
10 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
So you kind of glazed over everything, and I kind of know because you've kind of told me.
Well, I'm going to go through it. So
okay.
She gets in the apartment, calls the boyfriend. Boyfriend comes over, can't get into the friend's room.
Okay.
Friend won't answer her phone.
Calls the police. Polizei.
Oh, Polizei. No, Polizei is German. Polizia. I don't know. Italian.
Talk with your hands more.
Pasta. Di giorno. I don't fucking know.
You used box pasta. It is legal in this country.
Oh, did you see that the video of this lady who speaks Italian and her family's from Italy? And she'll always ask him like, oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Or she'll snap the spaghetti in half. And then the mom freaks out. She asks him if they want to go to Olive Garden, but she says it in Italian. And they're all kind of sitting there and they're like, huh. And they say that it sounds nice when you say the word Olive Garden in Italian. And then one of them goes, what? We would not eat this shit. Like, it's so funny.
Have you been to Italy? No. I think that's one of my goals is to go to Italy and try food there.
Yeah. I feel like you'd love that.
Like food tourism is like, right up my alley.
Yeah.
So Italy, watch out.
I can say that France and Spain were awesome. Those are the most recent European countries I was in. Well, Belgium, just in the airport.
Okay. But their food isn't, Italian food.
Actually, never mind. I guess it'd be Turkey.
Premium.
Turkey and Germany.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so the police come. Oh, one other fact that's important. She was, the night before, she worked at a bar. Her boss texted her and said, you don't have to be here. You don't have to come to work tonight. So she stayed with her boyfriend that night, watched movies.
To be understanding of the situation after she reports?
No, before. The night before the murder, she gets a text from her boss saying, you don't need to come into work tonight.
Just had too many workers or something? Or
slow night, something like that. It was just like a waiter or something. So you know how it is. They get cut sometimes because there's not, whatever.
Yeah.
So the police come. They find the body. They start the investigation. The part that I thought was very, very strange for me is we're talking from like day 1 or 2, like really quickly after the prosecutor's involved.
Okay.
He's there investigating. And the prosecutor states in the documentary, and the neat thing about Amanda's story on Rogan was she talks about how she got in contact with the prosecutor because she wanted to talk to him. And the way that she did it was, and she has this whole like kind of Buddhist sort of philosophy on stuff, about how everybody, even though she's probably the one who was most wronged, her and Raphael in this situation, except for Meredith, obviously, who was murdered. She's the primary victim, but her victimhood stops in a sense, and their victimhood continues in a different way.
Right.
And I'm not saying that like they're more bigger victims. I'm just saying it's different.
Yeah.
Right. Because the murder happened and that's it. It's over. And then they have this whole thing that goes, but she was talking about how the prosecutor was also probably demonized. And that's how she approached him, to get him to talk to her, because she wanted to like open up a dialogue about what happens. Well, anyway, the prosecutor, I guess his whole theory was that the way that the window was broken to the apartment, there's no way a burglar would have done it that way, that it had to have been done after the fact and was staged. And he concocts this whole just insane story about how what it was a like trifecta rape murder thing. I don't know what to call it. Like,
let me ask a question about the window. Is the window broken so you can go in and unlock the door and go through the door, or is the window broken so that somebody could go through the window?
I think the window was broken so you could open the window to get through it.
Okay.
Because it was like there was a wall, and they were like, "Oh, there's no evidence he climbed the wall." What are you talking about? It's a concrete wall.
How would there be any evidence of somebody climbing a wall?
I don't know.
Or is it too tall for somebody to be able to?
It didn't look like it.
Climb it? Okay.
The guy that got arrested with them, the boss, his name was Lumumba. He was the owner of the restaurant. He ended up getting released like a month and a half later because he had a very strong alibi. Everybody at the restaurant. Amanda's boss got arrested.
Why?
Because whenever they were questioning her, they looked through her text messages, and I guess they translated the Italian to translate it directly. It was something like, "I'll see you later," or something like that.
Oh, like it was a plan.
Like it was a plan, and that's where it came. And then apparently, like whenever she's talking about it, and they don't have video of any of this, which is interesting. They don't have any video of the interrogation. Apparently, it's hours after the fact. Both of them start turning on each other. They change their stories. Granted, they're both 20. They're kids.
Boyfriend, girlfriend, Amanda, and her boyfriend.
Because at first it's just like, oh, I had nothing to do with this, whatever. And then I think at one point she says that it was a plot, and then he says it was a plot. It's one of those crazy things that you see where people are getting interrogated and they just start believing that they're crazy. And that's the way that she kind of mentioned it, was that she thought at one point, like, am I crazy? Did I do this? Like she lets them get in her head enough that she's thinking maybe I did do it. Because they were saying, oh, you block out traumatic incidents. You don't know if you really did, and you don't remember it. But there was...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go.
She obviously talks to police. She thinks she's a victim. She's probably scared for her life.
Well, they don't come get her initially. They wait until later, after the fact. They come and arrest her like 3 weeks later.
Okay. Do they question her at the scene?
Yes.
Okay.
She's at the scene. And one of the things they did note, and in the video clips you do see, she's acting kind of weird. Like,
yeah, her friend just got murdered. And
not like that.
Okay. Everybody reacts to trauma differently, I guess.
Well, she seemed kind of nonchalant about it.
Interesting.
Apparently she was like, hanging all over her boyfriend. And there's video of them like sitting in the parking lot, like comforting each other, like kissing and stuff. And then I guess she was like, you know how young kids are, like they do stupid shit when they're flirting. Like
19 or 20, yeah.
Yeah, and she was like doing that kind of stuff. I think at one point the prosecutor said he saw her doing a cartwheel. And like,
whoa.
And then they bring in, like, it's a whole thing, dude. It's a whole thing. And the story snowballs because this murder in this tiny town.
So something does look weird with her, then.
It does,
okay.
For sure. She looks real weird. Even in her interview with Rogan, she seems kind of strange.
That's just who she is as a person,
but it's just who she is as a person. She's kind of quirky.
But cops usually don't have any kind of sense of what you're like beforehand.
No, they don't know anything. They just know what they're looking at.
Then they get a weird feeling of seeing you, your roommate just got murdered, and it's horrific and bloody, and you're doing cartwheels. What's going on here?
Yes.
But did she see the body? Like, did she really see what happened?
They never got in the room. They just knew that there was blood and that they couldn't get a hold of her. But then when they get in the room, there's like a handprint on the wall. And the handprint, they eventually get it back to this guy named Rudy Guede, Guede, who's a known burglar who also has like sex crimes in his past. He ended up doing a fast track trial, which is like basically invoking here. And the reason that he did it was his lawyer talks about it in the show. And his lawyer was the one that made that comment about America. Because when the Americans are kind of like pushing back on the Italians, like, how could you do this? He commented about how Italy has like one of the oldest European courthouses from 1308. It's the courthouse of Exchequer or some stupid name. He's like, in Italy, we were coming up with the first house of jurisprudence in 1308. And in 1308 in America, they were still painting buffaloes on cave walls. And then he just stops and stares at the camera like he was doing a mic drop moment.
Wow.
Dude, and that's the crazy thing here. The ego of every single one of these people involved. The prosecutor, even now, even after like the DNA got thrown out, that it was just trace DNA, that they blew up way bigger than it was supposed to be, these confessions that got thrown out, all kinds of crazy stuff. He's still not, maybe they did it, maybe they didn't. And if they did, God will judge them. It's like, what? The appeal process happened. They've been acquitted formally. I don't know. It's just nutty, man.
All right. So I have a few questions about this. So. Yeah. Our Fifth Amendment, which we love, is an American creation, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything, and I haven't looked at international criminal law, anything like that in other countries. Is there a right to not, testify against yourself? I mean, I guess you can always just shut up and not talk, but
in some places they view that they're allowed to make a negative inference about that.
Okay, that's
Italy. I don't know about that, but I do know that there are some places where that can hurt you.
That's the most beautiful part about our Fifth Amendment is you can't be forced to testify against yourself. And the second part to it, it doesn't mean that you're guilty. And even the court gives a jury instruction to the jury saying, hey, you can't infer, nothing is implied by this person not testifying. If you go in that jury room and somebody says, hey, well, she didn't testify, she might be guilty, that is a violation of the Fifth Amendment. So that's the fantastic part. It's not just not testifying or not talking to cops. This means nothing. Like the jury is instructed, whether, something in the back of their minds or not, but they're instructed that they can't take this to mean anything, which I think is just the most beautiful part of the Fifth Amendment.
Sure.
So I think most countries you don't have to be compelled. I mean, in a criminal context and civil context, yes. Like if you're getting fined or a violation or something, you have to go answer for those. Otherwise,
sure,
you're at fault or liable or responsible or fined or whatever the civil context is from the government. But
yeah,
criminally, you don't have to say a single word. Prosecution, state, city, county, whatever, has to prove their case against you.
So the other thing that's important to note, they moved in September and a body was discovered November 1st. So they'd only been roommates for like 6 weeks.
So hardly knew her.
Okay.
And might not have known of the brutality of the crime.
Correct. I mean, I think
Okay.
she figured it out.
But how severe it is, maybe they just tell you, oh, she's dead. Oh, that's like,
Yeah. And it was also a first floor apartment. Even though there was a wall, it was low to the ground.
okay.
And they had met the other guy, the Guede guy, before. He'd been around.
How long until he became a suspect?
I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weeks was when Guede became on the list. But here's
Were there
thing.
any other murders? Did he commit any other murders? You talked about burglaries, breaking
No
into
murders,
places.
just burglaries and then sex
Okay,
crimes.
so first, this is his first, oh, wow. And are these random crimes or like he's just
kind of random.
peeping on people?
On people doing random stuff, but he's known around town. So they got arrested November 6th. So they were only out for like 5 days before they were arrested. She went to the police station November 5th. So the murder happens November 1. She went to the police station voluntarily.
They call her and they say, hey, can you come help us? And that's what most people think, I guess. Italy, I don't know the law, but you'll say, I'm going to help them solve this murder.
Right.
Anything I can do to help, I'll go down and try and help.
Another thing the Italians did, and I remember this now that I'm reading a little bit, because there's a lot of information I've tried to remember for this. When she went for her initial interview, she wasn't a suspect. She was being interviewed as a witness. So Italian law only allows appointment for a lawyer once they're suspected.
That is interesting.
Is it? Is interesting the word you'd use?
I would say interesting. Yes.
I would use profanity.
Well,
I'd say it's fucked. Because it's a semantic way to get around providing someone representation.
There's probably tests in the court. Like they probably can't tell you you're a witness, and lie to you about that and really think you're a suspect.
Sure.
I would guess there's some kind of test going on.
I don't know.
I hope so.
But here it says that she requested a lawyer and was told it would make things worse for her.
That's what they tell you here too. Like they can lie to you, or even if that's not a lie, they can say whatever they want and tell you, oh man, this isn't going to help you. It's just going to make it more complicated. Lawyers get in the way. Lawyers make things worse. And I would use this as an example. Like we've had a few people call into our office and say, hey, the cops want to talk to me. Detective says that they want to talk to me. And we'll talk to them, at least, consult with them for a little bit and just kind of get the details of it and be like, don't do it. Or if you feel like you really need to, have me go there with you. Okay. Or have them submit the questions. If they're so important, why can't they just send us the questions, and then we can try and help them find whoever did this, but they use that as a pretext to say, hey, we just want you to clear yourself. Mm-hmm. That's what it always is. Yeah. We want you to clear yourself. There's this other complaining witness that says this. So I just, I want you to clear yourself and make it all right. And you've never been in a situation talking to a cop, and they are good at getting into you. So we most times will tell people, just don't do it. Just, they'll come with a summons and come find you. They're looking for something. They don't have enough. They would have already arrested you if they had enough. They're looking for something. Mm-hmm. They're not looking to clear you.
Correct.
That isn't anything that
they don't do that.
There's no record that says, hey, he's cleared. Don't go after him again.
Right.
They want more to be able to get you.
Correct.
For that crime. They have a hint of a crime, but they don't have enough to come get you. So I would say if somebody's in this situation, if there's a murder, like go in with the lawyer. If it's somebody you kind of know, if there's information and you can really provide something, maybe.
Man, I'm so torn.
Now, like this is a worst case scenario, right?
Oh, this
is a worst case scenario.
This is like an American nightmare situation.
This is
that other documentary about those?
We've talked about that one before, where a boyfriend's. That's because the story's so insane. Like crimes like this, random crimes like this, where somebody breaks into a house, rapes and kills. Like that is a very rare occurrence. Usually murders happen with somebody right? Like 9 times out of 10, like there's some relationship there. It's not a random chance encounter. We've kind of blown this up because that is the scariest thing to think of, that somebody I don't even know is going to, randomly kill me, and that it just doesn't happen that often. So cops, when they go into the situation, they know the numbers. So they're going with statistics. Oh, it is most likely a roommate. It is most likely a boyfriend. It is most likely, somebody close to them. For it to be a chance encounter is a lower chance. So they're going in there looking at you.
Right.
If it's a murder, they're looking.
They're looking everywhere.
They're looking everywhere, but
even places
if somebody's acting strange too, that's gonna, it's what's in front of them.
And you're the foreigner.
In
this situation.
A lot of small towns, are a little more.
You've only been there for 6 weeks and already somebody's dead.
Yeah.
Right.
We talked to. This is reminding of talking to Cody Brown, the kid from Peru we talked to online about, and he's still facing his stuff. He's still got all his stuff. He's still posting everything online. I've been keeping track with him and following his stuff, and he's just still pending. So being a foreigner, like in a foreign country, it's they're going to look at you a little different. You're the outsider, right?
100%. So there's some more stuff about this that I want to talk about. The Guede guy, he ends up becoming a suspect, and where was it? November 19th. So 18 days after the murder, he has a Skype conversation with his friend, and he ends up talking to the cops and denies that he did it, but admits that he was in the house that night and says that they weren't there, and says that, the other thing that was important that they use was that when Amanda gets out of the shower, she sees that someone had left a turd in the toilet, which she was like, what? And it was this Guede guy. It was his.
Is it a shared bathroom that
shared
they
bathroom,
have?
Yeah.
Okay, with all four or just these
pooper,
two?
I don't know. It seemed like it was all four. It was like
some shared bathroom. Okay.
So anyway, that was his poop. She didn't flush it. And so his story was that they went to mess around, and then he goes to the bathroom, and when he comes out, he sees a guy leaving, and then he sees her hurt, bleeding. And then he got scared and ran.
That's what he eventually tells the police?
He tells the police before they all get, they've already been arrested, but before they end up getting him extradited, also he fled to Germany. But he didn't do it. So this is what he was convicted of: sexual assault and murder. What do you think his sentence was?
You kind of told me.
Austin.
25? I can't remember.
What were the charges again?
Sex assault and murder. Basically rape and murder. He was sentenced to 30 years. His sentence was reduced to 16, and he was given an early release in 2020. So he did 12 years. And here's the best part. He was authorized to finish his sentence with community service.
Let me ask let me ask questions about this. So they are
and he specifically said, I want to make sure I highlight this part, that they were not there. Solcito and Knox were not there.
So he's kind of on trial for murder this entire time, and they're trying Amanda for murder as well?
He invoked, basically, and did a fast track. They didn't. His trial goes first. And then their trial came second.
Okay.
He's convicted, and they're ultimately convicted in 2009.
And he tells the police, he doesn't testify at trial.
He told his friend, and then he told the police that they were not there. In a spontaneous conversation, he says that Amanda wasn't there.
Does this friend come to Amanda's trial as well, or no?
I didn't say.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because once you get the guy that did it, is the theory, what's the theory in this case? That they hired this guy to come in and murder her or something like that?
The theory was that Knox had attacked Kircher in her bedroom, repeatedly banged her head against a wall, forcefully held her face and tried to strangle her. Then Guede, Knox, and Solcito removed her jeans, held her in her hands and knees while Guede raped her. Then Knox cut her with a knife before inflicting a fatal stab wound and faked a burglary. That was their theory. That it was like some weird love triangle. Basically, and the other thing that happened...
This guy that's the serial
burglar / sex offender
gets in with this
that it was
American
like a love triangle. That
and a local Italian boyfriend too, right?
That Raphael, and Solcito, Guede, and Knox were in like some weird love triangle, and that Kircher was more modest. And what they did, and they go through this in the documentary, like the BBC guy, I forget his name, talks about how they were getting information from the police about like her Facebook, her MySpace at the time. And she went by Foxy Knoxy. They took her journal from her where she like lists her various sex partners, and they put all this stuff into the case, dude. It's
Into evidence?
Into evidence. They basically did like a character assassination, saying that she was a
She's
loose moraled woman, and that Kircher had confronted her, saying, "Hey, I'm not like that. I don't want any three ways happening in here." And that's when this all goes down. That was their theory.
Was this Kircher girl really religious or something, or just like
It didn't really come out. It just said that she was more conservative.
Interesting.
Seems normal. I mean, it didn't seem like she certainly wasn't walking around in burqas or anything. They showed him in videos and stuff out in the town square. They're all out together.
I mean, I would say that anybody that's willing to go to a foreign country, on like a study abroad is a little more adventurous too. Like seeking, something different. From England to Italy, not as far, but from the U.S. to a town in Italy of 100,000 people, like away from the main cities. That's pretty adventurous. I never explored anything like that. I've only been to a couple foreign countries at all, right? So, if we get more listeners on the podcast, maybe I can add some more countries and we can go explore. Okay, so she has a trial. Do you know how long it is? Like how many witnesses we're talking about?
Know. It didn't go into that.
So
in December of 2009 was when the original conviction occurs.
Okay.
And she got 26 years for faking a break-in, defamation, sexual violence, and murder. And Solicito got 25 years.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
And
how did they prove that beyond a reasonable doubt? Like
a couple of the things, they found a knife in Solicito's apartment that supposedly had Knox's DNA on it and Kircher's DNA on it.
Really?
But it was such a trace amount of DNA. Like I said, the documentary kind of weaves it in a way to where you're thinking, oh, dude, they did this. Because when you just see knife with their DNA on it, even though in the graphic, they show the knife and there's like a little line that says Knox's DNA and a little line that says Kircher's DNA, it looks like that much DNA. As opposed to a murder weapon you'd think would be covered in their DNA, right?
Sure,
no,
or he could have cleaned it out.
It was such a small amount of DNA on each one. And then when they get into what they question the forensic people later, that they didn't prevent against contamination. Yeah. And that they focused on some chain of custody issues, or when they were doing the investigation at the apartment, like there was some of Solicito's DNA on a piece of Kircher's clothing, like a small amount on one of the bra straps that was on the floor. And they talk about how they didn't do anything to prevent any cross-contamination or anything like that. And so the DNA evidence was widely in the United States viewed as crap, right? People, had a lot of critical things to say about it.
I mean, it's a smaller town in Italy, and their handling of things and their technology might not be as good. Like, I'm not saying just because they're a small town. Italy is a very advanced country, Is it?
I
Comparatively, yeah.
guess it's a Western country, but I don't know anything about it. I know
across the world, yeah.
The Italian guy that I know that I'm not super fond of, he has a lot of negative things to say about Italy. I
don't know. I guess we got to go there. We'll go find out.
Okay. The boys go to Italy, I guess.
The boys, Tangled Rights goes to Italy.
Yeah. So basically, there were a lot of people that were commenting on it from America, and a number of U.S. experts spoke out against the use of the DNA evidence.
Yeah, and these always get in weird positions when you have like a foreign national. So,
the bigger thing was that they couldn't replicate the results. When they went to replicate the DNA, like you should theoretically be able to do it over and over and over and have the same result. They couldn't do it. So she gets acquitted and then again indicted.
So she gets acquitted from the appeals court?
Mm-hmm. In 2010.
And that's based on, the appeal is based on what? On the DNA?
The DNA evidence.
Okay.
As well as, I think they got the statements thrown out because they did find them to be in violation of their own law, but they did it after the fact. So they ended up doing 4 years in prison.
They did 4 years in prison pending the appeal.
No, they did 4 years in prison. Then they get released, and then they got re-indicted. On the defamation, because basically Knox had implicated Lumumba, her boss, whenever she was given that statement saying, it was him. And so that was viewed as defamation. But the interesting thing that they talk about,
like a false report to police officer,
it's exactly what it's like. But the only way that they could have defamation validly apply to her in this situation is if she knew for certain that he wasn't there, which means they're still saying she was there, even though they stopped charging her with murder. but she got credit for time served with it. She was convicted of that ultimately. And then,
but she had done 4 years already.
Correct.
On the murder. Okay.
So the court that she got convicted in was Court d'Assises, D,ASSISE. And then that one that they appealed to was where she got released. And then there was another appeal, and ultimately she wasn't exonerated of the murder until 2015. It went to the highest court in Italy. There was a whole other retrial in 2013. They set aside the acquittals of the Hellman second level trial. That's the part that was really confusing to me, is I didn't understand the way that the trajectory works in Italy.
Sure.
Because there's so many different appeals levels, and the prosecution can appeal. But it wasn't until 2015 that they ultimately were heard by the Supreme Court, their highest court. And it ruled that the case was without foundation, definitively acquitting them of the murder. They did uphold the defamation conviction, and she was deemed to have satisfied the 3-year sentence because of her time served. Let's see. And rather than declaring there were errors in the earlier cases or there was not enough to convict, the court ruled that they were innocent of involvement in the murder. Basically, they didn't want to highlight that there was problems. They were just trying to say that they weren't involved. They published a report on the acquittal citing glaring errors, investigative amnesia, and guilty omissions, where a 5-judge panel said the prosecutors who won the original murder conviction failed to prove a whole truth to back up the scenario that Knox and Solicito killed Kircher. And they said it highlighted failures in the investigation. Oh, one of the things I forgot to tell you that I didn't know about until I was reading this.
Okay.
One of the investigators, halfway through, quit. They're like, no, this is wrong. And they bounced. So it was the primary investigator.
Did they give an interview later saying that's why they quit?
It just says it in this. I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know about.
Could just be.
It could just be they were like, look. And the Monica Napolini and her superior, Marco Chiacheria was the one that bounced. He was the lead investigator. He was like, no, this is wrong. And then it was left to the more junior investigator who'd never done this kind of investigation. So you've got a junior investigator, you've got a prosecutor who's involved in the investigation from the outset, who has just an insane theory. And then it seemed like they came up with a theory and then they generated the evidence to back it up with respect to the whole.
Especially if you have like the primary, murder suspect that's not implicating somebody else, because they
literally said they weren't involved.
Because as a negotiation tactic, we often see like, hey, I'll give up, another person if you give me a less severe punishment. I will give you evidence. I'll testify against this other person or whatever to help you out. Because like he wouldn't have any alliance to these people if they had just met. Like she had just been there 6 weeks, so there's no.
They'd seen each other in the quad, like in the community area of the apartment complex or the apartments or houses or whatever, like once or twice. She'd met the guy, but didn't like know him. No.
Gaudet or Gaudet or
Guetti or however you say his name.
So he lived there.
I don't know if he lived there or if he lived around there. It doesn't say.
But
you're asking me questions, and I'm trying to, but they don't give me all this information. And they didn't do it in the documentary.
I like that we're having a reverse scenario of what our normal one is, because you ask me questions on things, and I'm like, I don't know. But if she had seen him in the quad area, obviously he's around there, you know. So he might live close, or he might be scouting out attacks or potential attacks.
And that's the thing that they said, that he had met Kircher before.
Oh.
So he was, found himself something he was after.
That's horrible.
Another
That's
crazy part
ugly.
to this that I didn't know until just now. In 2019, the European Court of Human Rights ordered Italy to pay compensation to Knox for violating her rights in the hours after the arrest. It was ordered to pay $20,800 for not providing her with a lawyer or a competent interpreter. She wasn't fluent in Italian, and the interviews and things were done in Italian.
Hey, I love that our courts take that so seriously. All of the judges I've been in front of, if they even suspect that somebody has like any kind of understanding issues, there's an interpreter just traveling around regional justice center, just waiting. Okay, we got a Spanish interpreter. It's usually Spanish interpreter is what we see most of the time. If they're in another courtroom, okay, hang on 1 second, we'll get them up here. and they just kind of roam around the building and go to different courtrooms. And there's other kinds of interpreters too that they call for specific cases.
Mandarin is the one I see frequently.
Mandarin.
I've seen
Tagalog is one.
And then
They had a Korean.
Eritrean. I saw it there the other day.
Oh, and then Korean I've seen in the courthouse.
It's African country, I think. Eritrea.
I don't know. Okay. ERITYA, something like that.
ERITREA. It's East Africa.
Okay.
It's next to Djibouti.
What a name for a country.
Well, Djibouti is that one that we've been, going over there with special ops for the last 15 years. There's a base over there.
Las Vegas is truly a melting pot. Like we have people from everywhere because we're a working town, man. If you come here and you're willing to do work, there's a job for you,
For sure. Yeah, there's lots of jobs.
Cleaning hotel rooms, work
in the casinos.
Work in a casino, drive a taxi cab, construction. Yeah. There's a ton of jobs here in Vegas. So we melting pot of all.
For sure.
We got a ton.
We got all kinds of stuff. I remember it was like that apartment I moved into, Bella Vita over there off Flamingo in Decatur when I first moved to town. It was like me and one other group of people that were like quasi-Western, and then it was like little Somalia.
Interesting.
Tons of Somalians, which is fine, whatever.
Yeah. And you get apartment complexes or areas like that where somebody knows somebody and they're like, this is good. Like,
hey, it's a nice place. When you come over here with all your cousins, move in. It's fine.
Yeah.
They didn't like do any I don't know. One of the things that I like about other cultures, especially those kinds of places, they do a lot of I don't know, you call it grilling out, right? Like it's the same kind of thing. Like we grill out.
Like a cookout.
Big cookout.
Yeah.
They didn't do any of that, man. I wanted to have some fucking goat or something, but
I
was expecting to see something on some holidays. It just never occurred. I was kind of bummed about it.
Nerves of being in a different country, not knowing the rules. I mean,
you obviously don't cut a goat's head off in a parking lot, but if you buy a dead goat, cook it.
There you go.
I think you can buy them at Costco.
There's some Eastern European markets that have all sorts.
And there's an Asian market down there on Decatur.
H Mart.
Yeah,
H Mart just
opened.
Buy
all kinds of crazy stuff down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a nutty case, man. It showed glaring differences in the U.S. system compared to the Italian system.
People complain about our system so much, and
it rightfully so. They should, because
there are problems. There are problems, but there's so much good. You're never going to see somebody not get a translator.
If you had an ESL student who was here doing something French, German, whatever,
there's
no way they would be like, oh,
you write down what language it is, and even if it's something super obscure, you have a right. You have a right to understand it in your own language. So that's awesome. You have a right to an attorney. You'll get an attorney if there's any potential of jail time on your case. So there's a lot great about our system, I think. It's not infallible. There's still some people that get railroaded by the system or treated unfairly. It's hard to create rules that accommodate every situation possible, right? It's hard to create a system that puts equal bearing on a potential victim of a case versus a potential assailant of a case.
Correct.
When you have people complaining as victims and as defendants, hey, maybe that's the right system, Yeah,
maybe. I think it's good because it's one of those things where it shouldn't. If it fits everybody, it's kind of like mediation, right? Everybody walks out a little unhappy.
Yeah.
If it fits everybody, that's how it's going to have to be.
Yeah.
I think. And it's just when you hear this stuff, and all of our 12 listeners, check out that documentary for an hour and 15 minutes. It's worth it because it's insane. The story is just nuts. And I'm sure they're going to get more detail than I got. I wasn't committing this to memory. I was just telling Shane about it when we were talking about things because it's a crazy legal story. And it's just another one of those where you can see how quickly something can snowball. And if you don't have the protections that I'm used to, right? And that's the other thing. I take this stuff for granted because it's how things are, right? This is just the way it is.
Yeah.
You can't do that. And then you hear about it and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you go to a foreign country. I got my First Amendment right. I got my Fifth Amendment right. It's like,
I'm not that dumb.
No, you don't.
That's not what I'm saying.
I'm not saying you do, but I'd have that thought.
Have you seen those videos of American tourists getting humbled? It's the best. Because they're like, I know my rights. Bitch, you're in England. whack.
We even have those sovereign citizens here that like have such a misunderstanding of what their rights are.
Dude, it's Admiralty.
It's Admiralty.
Uniform Commercial Code. Show me the bond. Where's the bond?
How did they board?
Give me the bond that was paid. Give me the bond that was paid whenever the case was created. I need that money.
How did they board my international waters vessel while I'm traveling and not driving?
Dude, I was traveling.
I don't understand. My Honda Civic is in international waters and operates under maritime law.
I hate that so much. I try my hardest, but I just want to smash a brick into my own face until I'm dead.
You have some thoughts on government and stuff that not everybody agrees with. So.
I do. I'm a libertarian in the sense that I don't think that it needs to be as big as it does. That being said, I still exist in the nature of reality.
You're talking about how it should work, not how it actually works. So
yeah, I know what the situation is.
Yeah. I know.
I don't need a bill of particulars because the complaint tells me all those things. We're in a notice pleading state. Notice pleading means that all they have to do when they file a complaint, either in civil or in criminal, is give you just enough so that you know what you're being charged with or that you're being prosecuted for.
And it's always funny because the judge always asks at arraignment, which is your first hearing, do you understand the charges? And a lot of people will say, no, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
No. I'm not asking you if you did it. I'm just asking if you understand what they're saying.
But that would be the time to say, no, I don't understand. Let's say it's a completely wrongful arrest. No, I don't understand what you're even like. What are you charging me with?
If you didn't, they would explain it to you.
Yeah.
And they'd get you an interpreter to make sure you understood what the judge was saying.
Yeah. And that's the time to ask the questions, I guess, right?
To ask the question.
That is the time. And that's potentially somebody in custody, in a jail, not knowing what's going on. Like,
and it's just, I don't know, man. It's just nutty when you see how different it is. Another thing about the Knox thing in the Rogan episode, they talked about how some of it might have to do with the fact that she was a pretty girl. And basically Rogan was talking about how there's this idea that there's like not violence, but like hatred towards some people who are attractive. And it goes both directions, he said, because like basically.
Is she pretty?
She's okay.
Objectively.
She's okay. I mean,
medium.
When she was younger, I think she's aged well. She's definitely gotten more attractive as she's gotten older, but like, no, she's not. Okay. No, but she's okay, right? But the point is like,
medium.
You've seen those guys, right? And Rogan talked about this, about how the guys that could never get a pretty girl if they wanted to. So rather than just owning the fact that they're limited based on whatever, they got bad cards, they're unattractive or whatever, they get this kind of anger towards them. This resentment.
Anger towards women.
Oh
yeah.
Incels, stuff like that. And so they talked about how that might have played a role in it, especially how she was demonized. But I didn't even get into the part, and we don't have enough time to talk about it, about how the media just hosed her.
The Italian media?
Global. The BBC, the Italian media. Everybody was just going in on her. When they got her diary, they published that she was basically like a hoe. Putting out, because she had listed her sex partners in her diary, like that she, I think at the time had slept with 7 people.
I mean, that's almost smart to do for, I guess, hey, any...
I remember why. Because when she was in the jail, and this is another crazy element, they told her she had HIV. And they lied to her. For some reason, they were trying to like trick her to get her to say something when she was in jail before trial. And so that's why she freaked out, like, I don't want to die, blah, blah, blah. Here's the people I had sex with, trying to remember, did any of them happen without a condom? When could I have gotten this? Do they need to be told? Dude, but the crazy thing is they were leaking it to the media. Somebody in the jail was selling this stuff. And so then they put it all out there. The whole story is crazy. And then the best part is at the very end when the BBC guy's talking, he's like, yeah, well, the story gets out. You have to be first.
Oh, so nonchalant about it, huh?
Seems super nonchalant about it. And at first you're like, oh, this guy's breaking the story. The prosecution doing the Lord's work. It's making it look like, if I didn't know going into it that she'd already been acquitted and that the story was complete horse shit, you'd think, oh, they did this. It's crazy sounding, but it's possible.
Yeah, and it's so hard to talk to people who can't see things through someone else's lens, like the prosecutors we deal with that we try and relate to be like,
I used to be one of them. It's easy for me.
Most
of the time.
We ask the prosecutor to look at it from our client's eyes. Like, take a second, try and look at it from our client's eyes. We can't do that in trial to a jury, right? We can't ever put them in the shoes
unfortunately
of our client. But we can ask the prosecutor to do it.
You kind of can sometimes.
You kind of can. But
when you're asking them to use the reasonably proven person.
Yeah.
Would in this situation, would they be in fear for their life, or would they be in fear that they needed to use defense, self-defense?
Yeah.
Right. Something like that.
But
sometimes.
If you cannot put yourself in somebody else's shoes and like, let's look at this at a different angle for just a second. And those are the clients that are tough to deal with when they just cannot. They cannot do that. They can only look at it through their own lens. And, this is so unfair to me because XYZ, like, all right, like there's always a different point of view. There's always a different point of view and having those prosecutors that'll help us or look at things a little differently with us and be like, for a second, just listen to me, see if this brings anything for you. My client, was facing this in their life, and this is why this happened, or whatever. So I think it's interesting that this news reporter would be so nonchalant and just focus on themselves so much.
He was focused purely on
not this young girl's life, which now I guess she's made some money off of going through this, so maybe they'll throw it away and say,
a couple books out.
She's made money off of this, so it's not that big of a deal. So that is complicated appeals court process that you're
right. It's just a picture showing. I'll send it to you. It's a picture showing the Italian appeals court
kind of appellate process, real complicated. All right. Well, we spent like all our time on this.
Do we have a listener question?
Was there a listener question, Liz? I don't have my computer today. I left it at home. I'll tell you something I was talking about with a listener yesterday. You know what listener I'm talking about? One of our faithful 12 listeners, a former client of ours who had
great at walking,
just a horrible criminal history. He said he was really, really, really upset with this trial tax thing that we were talking about. And we had kind of a conversation about that. And Justin, how can you make sense of this trial tax? And I guess if this is your first time listening, you didn't hear last week, there is what we call a trial tax, which is where people get punished worse for going to trial and getting convicted of the same crime. You take a plea deal. There are studies across.
So the question is that the direction it goes? Are you punished worse for going to trial, or are you given a benefit for not going to trial?
Yeah, that's a good question. A different point of view. Like I said, we always need to, do you get a benefit for not going to trial? It is your right to go to trial, right?
Sure.
To be judged by a jury of your peers. Is that what it is?
Is a trial tax really just you're paying the piper because you're going all the way? And if you don't, then you're getting that benefit? Which direction does it go is what I'm saying. And I don't know the answer.
I guess and that's the problem, right? And we talk about some things that are unfair when we look at them when we step back and look at cases. We always have to look at cases on the specific case detail because that's how they're tried. That's how they operate within the court system. I'm not trying you for something somebody else did. I'm trying you for I'm representing you for your case. Okay. And I think it is in your best interest to take a plea deal. And that's what we talk to a lot of clients, and people ask, how do you represent, these people who have done crimes? Some of them must not be guilty. I'm like, most that we represent have done the crime that they're accused of.
Yeah.
Like most have, but it's getting them the best result possible. Right. Okay. So when we represent these people, oftentimes it is, let's take a plea deal. Like they want you to plead to this, which is less. Like an attempt of this crime drops us down to something different.
Right.
And that is so much better for you. Like that is so much better than taking it to trial.
For example, here's a reason to do that sometimes. A category B felony in the state of Nevada, a lot of times has a range of 1 to 6, 1 to 10, something like that.
2 to 10, 4 to 10.
Some of them. But the bottom is 12, right?
Yep.
The reason you want a C instead of a B is because on a B, you get your credit off the back end. So if you do a 4 to 10 versus if you get a C or 2 C's, let's say that it's a 2 to 5 and a 2 to 5, and you do programs in jail that knock 6 months off your time, 3 months off your time, a month off your time, that comes off the back. Whereas on a C, it comes off the front. So you don't have your high school diploma. You go into prison with 2 C's, 2 to 5s. Instead of 1 B, it's a 4 to 10. You get 3 months off for getting your diploma, right? They're trying to incentivize people educating themselves, getting themselves to be in a better position so when they get out, they can be more productive. On the C, it comes off the front. So that 2 to 10 turns into a 21 month to 60 months. Sorry, 2 to 5, not 2 to 10.
Even better.
Even better, because the time's coming off the front, whereas the B, it's on the back. So you're going to do that whole 4 years. There's a reason it might be better to get that C instead of that B.
No, I think there's always,
and that's obvious. That's tangible. Like I can count that.
I think there's always good reasons to get the crime down to something else if you can, right?
Yeah, get it down to a civil infraction. Why not? Parking.
Because when you get tried on a case, you get tried.
Murder gets turned into illegal parking.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's no reduction of crimes once you're tried on a case. Mm-hmm. If you're found guilty of the crime that you're tried on, you're guilty of that crime at that level. So if you were offered a level C before,
you screwed it off, and now you got a level A.
That's because they tried you on a level B or level A. And if you're found guilty of trial, you're guilty of the level A or level B.
Correct.
So the punishments sometimes are like the judge can't even amend. They have to. There's some that are mandatory prison time for a set time. You know, sometimes the judge can range,
but they still have the range. Like even with the DUI death, the range is 2 to 20. It's mandatory. You cannot get out of it. You will go to prison.
Yeah.
But that turns from a 2 to 5 to an 8 to 20.
Yeah. So there's some non-probationable things that can definitely change the outcome of a case. So did you have a listener question? Oh, okay. Well.
Yes. Because you guys are always talking about don't talk to police without a lawyer. What is going to happen if I refuse to talk to the police without a lawyer?
All right.
Depends.
The question, we'll say it because he doesn't have a microphone.
Yeah. Because
you guys are always talking about not talking to police without a lawyer. What will happen if I talk to police without a lawyer? What will happen if I refuse?
So it could depend. Let's say that the cops bring you in for custodial interrogation. They give you your Miranda rights, but you're not being detained. You're there and you're in the building and you're in the room, but you're free to leave whenever you want. At that point, they'll terminate the interview and they'll tell you to leave. Or they'll terminate the interview and they'll arrest you. But they were going to do that anyway, right? So it completely depends on stuff that you won't know at the time. But like, let's say you're on the street, just walking by, something happens and the cops are like, hey, you want to give us your story? And you say, no. Same thing. If they don't have enough, you're gone. If they do, you're getting arrested anyway. But the one thing that will occur is you will not accidentally give them evidence against you. That is a certainty. By not speaking to them, you will not strengthen their case. And that's the biggest point, right? In my mind, as a former prosecutor who I used to see cases where people would, dude, I remember one time, I told you the butt bump story, right?
I don't know.
So this girl, the cops are at a house looking for a guy who committed a violent felony. They have reason to believe he's there. The people let him in because he used to room there or something like that. That's a bunch of tweakers. They go into the house and they see some meth out on the table. They're like, all right, guys, we weren't looking for this. We were literally just opening rooms to see if this dude was in here. You let us in. We were going to get a warrant anyway, whatever. We'd find the meth. Now somebody's going to jail. Whose is it? Nobody says whose it is. So they arrest everybody. The girl is high as a kite. And she's like, well, it's not mine, but I use. She's like, I'm high right now. And he's like, okay, well, is this your pipe? Do you smoke? She goes, oh, no, I don't smoke it. I take butt bumps. The cop's like, what's up? And she's like, oh, you put it in a medicine dropper and then.
Oh, man.
And so she boofs it. So as a prosecutor, I'm looking through this report and then she wants to go to prelim. And I did this kind of on purpose and it's a jerk move on my part, but I didn't want to put the prelim on. It's stupid. She admitted to it. Whatever. So I talked to the cop. I'm like, you got that body cam, right? And she can hear me because she's in court. And he's like, yeah, I do. And he's like, you know that part where she's speaking to you? He's like, yeah. He's like, you got that queued up? He goes, yeah. She immediately turns to her lawyer. I don't want to do the prelim anymore. I want to waive. I said some embarrassing things. I was going to put it on a record, butt bump. Stupid.
You were charging somebody just of doing some drugs? It's instruction from above, huh?
I know.
Shame.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I was following orders.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't like it.
Well, I didn't
like it.
It is a crime, right?
And in the state of Kansas, they have what's called Senate Bill 123, which now I believe is 123.4. And the idea is 1, 2, 3, 4 strikes, you're out. So it's mandatory probation and mandatory drug treatment for methamphetamines, anything like that.
For first time?
Second time, third time, and fourth time.
It's all probation?
All probation, mandatory.
I mean, that's, the goal, which we see a lot with drug-related crimes
is to rehabilitate.
Rehabilitate. Like that's one that can be more readily rehabilitated.
Correct.
And there's so many of our clients where drugs are an underlying issue of their crimes, right?
Most of the stuff in the criminal justice system that I see is substance related.
A lot of it's substance related or
you could back it up.
financially related to get more
You
substances.
could back it up and say just addiction.
Yeah,
Not just drugs, but also alcohol, and not just that, but also gambling or sex or something.
sure.
And maybe if you want to get real
my
amorphous about
Amazon spending addiction. My hats.
it, your hat addiction,
Yeah.
power,
Control. Yeah.
Control.
Pride. Like
which
that
comes before the fall.
it comes before the fall, and we've seen
We all have
that.
something that drives us,
Yeah.
and sometimes those things are good, and sometimes they're not.
Well, thanks for coming to another episode of Tangled Rights. We're glad to have you here with us. Thank you for listening.
Spam in the chat, W, if Shane should come to Open Mat with me.
Yeah, sure.
And Austin will film it. We'll put it on the pod.
Okay.
We'll let you warm up with Austin. He'll teach you some things, and I'll let you start in side control or mount or my back. You can have the hooks in and have your arm under.
I don't know what any of that means. Thanks for listening to another episode of Tangled Rights.
Bye.
Peace.